Hello, everyone. IMS welcomes you all to our webinar series, The P School Insider, all you need to know about your dream school. And I'm Kalyani, your host for this webinar series. So today our topic is IIM Kozhikode, prep journey, campus life, academics, and placements. And we will be discussing points such as from CAT prep to the final selection process at IIM Kozhikode, why IIM Kozhikode, IIM Kozhikode versus IIM Lucknow versus SPJIMR versus IIM Indore. IIM Kozhikode is known for certain startups, and it also supports startups such as, so we will be talking about Bhooklagi, what is it? The infrastructure and life at IIM Kozhikode. So let's welcome our speakers today. We have Shailendra Shinde. He is from PGP 2024 batch. We have Satya Swarup from PGP 2024 batch. We have Rishika Jain from PGP 2023 batch. She will be joining KPMG as business consultant very soon. We have Paritosh Sabnis. He is PGP 2023. He is a management trainee at Renew Power. And we have Ashish Thomas. He is PGP 2019, and he's an engagement manager at Deloitte. Welcome all of you, and thank you so much for being here today for this session. So let's start from the CAT score interview selection process. So in this section, first we'll talk about the CAT score. What was the undergraduation subjects that you guys had, and were you when you were preparing for CAT? Before that, do you have how many years of work experience you guys had, or were you fresher? So we will start from the current batch. Let's start from Shailendra, then Satya, then Rishika, then Paritosh, and then Ashish. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Shailendra.
So hello all. Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me. So my CAT percentile was 98, and prior to CAT, I had 3 years of work experience in
Yeah.
Cognizant as an systems engineer.
Okay.
My undergraduate was electronics and telecommunication engineering.
Okay. And yeah, somebody is also saying, can you also talk about your 10th and 12th CGPA? I think, they all want to know the kind of profile, but if you guys can, or if you remember, then you can add that, or if you don't remember, well, then that's fine. So yeah, Shailendra, do you remember, or?
Yeah. So I had a 10-8-8 profile.
Okay. Yeah, Satya.
So hi guys, myself Satya, and I had a percentile of 99.86 in CAT 2021. Just to talk about myself, I come from Odisha, and as a background in 10th and 12th, I had 10 CGPA and 95% in 12th. And prior to joining IIM Kozhikode, I had 2 years of work ex in the analytics and consulting sector. So
okay, and your undergraduation was in engineering?
I did my undergraduation from NIT Rourkela, so I'm an electrical engineer by that. So
okay, yeah. All right. Okay, Rishika.
All right. So my CAT percentile was around, Shailendra's as well, and I was an engineer. I completed my BTech CSE in 2018, and I joined ZS Associates, where I worked for 2 years. After that, my 10th, 12th, and undergrad were, 10, 9, 9. I was the gold medalist of my batch. Okay. And yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah, okay.
Just to add a point over there, I think Rishika is my colleague then. I had my work ex in ZS Associates itself in 2 years. So
interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Paritosh.
Hi. So my CAT percentile was in the range of 95 or something. Prior to CAT, I was my 10th and 12th are 10 CGPA, and then I had a 95% score in 12. After that, I completed my CA. So in CA, my score is 62% for what we consider in IMK. Okay. And based out of after CA, I was working in Varroc Engineering. So it's a listed auto component company where I was heading the finance and strategy function for 2 years. And then post that I joined IMK.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, Ashish.
It's been long since I wrote CAT, but this is CAT 2017. I was 99.2. And this was before you guys have CGPA. So my 10th and 12th were like, so in the manner you said 998, that was my profile back in 10th and 12th. And then engineering, I did my engineering in computer science from NIT Calicut, Kozhikode, the same place. That's how I've moved in life. Tip for all of you on the call. I mean, if you are a part of ZS Associates, apparently you get into IIM Kozhikode because I'm also from ZS Associates. I did a couple of years there and then did a year with a startup and then finally joined IIM Kozhikode.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's talk about CAT prep, Shailendra. And so in this section, I'll be focusing more on the current students because obviously, their CAT prep is more relevant. Of course, Rishika and Paritosh, you guys can jump in, and Ashish, of course, you can pitch in. Shailendra and Satya, can you guys talk about your CAT prep? Also, any particular weak sections you've had, and how did you? What was the tip? So Shailendra, you can talk about that. Satya, you can also talk about like if somebody is so it's July now. So from July till November, how do you schedule your? How would you suggest? What's your suggestion for the CAT preparation? Yeah, Shailendra.
So first, I would, what I followed was I analyzed all the past CAT papers and realized that in certain sections like quant, the number of questions from a particular topic are on a much higher level. So, for example, arithmetic. So I tried to cover all the bases there. Also, one thing I realized that CAT doesn't ask too many fancy formulas or anything. So the basic concepts, if you do well, the 10 to 15 basic concepts, you are through. The third important aspect which really worked well for me was my accuracy was extremely high in CAT 2021. So if I remember, my only mistakes were only for 2 questions. So when you attempt mock, focus more on accuracy. And my weak section was obviously DILR. So I tried to cover as many variety of sets as possible. Again, mainly from CAT past papers only.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, Satya.
So before going to the prep from July, I'll just add a small thing to what Shailendra said. I have the same thing that CAT does not ask you much about the formulas and all. You don't have to mug up a lot. It's more about how you understand the concepts. And the second is that my weaker section was VA, I will say, because coming from engineering background, we generally tend to do good in maths. So my weaker section was VA. And VA is more like how much you practice, and there are like a few tips and tricks that people can use to strengthen depending upon which type of verbal assessment or which type of reading comprehension you are getting. So that will be the key over there. And in terms of preparation from July, I will say that again differs from how many times you have appeared CAT. Like when I was appearing for the second time, I was completing the syllabus in July for it took me one around August. I had completed my syllabus, and then it was more about test series. But in the second attempt, when I scored 99, there it was more about test series because I had already done with my syllabus. So it was more about having test series as much as possible. And a key factor which many people miss out is when you go closer to the CAT exam, like if you have it in November, then at least from October last week till November, those 3-4 weeks, try to give as many exams in your slots. That's a mistake I committed in my previous attempt. And I can just vouch for that just try to give as many as your slots. It just trains your mind to be active, be focused in that duration of time.
Correct. Okay.
Also,
yeah,
one
Rishika.
thing.
I'll add to this.
Yes.
I'm
anyway coming to you, Rishika. Yeah.
What I also did that during the last 15 to 20 days, I revised all the mocks that I had taken. So with IMS, the IMX mocks that I had taken, so I revised all those. So that also helped me.
Okay. Yeah, Rishika.
I was going to say the same thing. If you give a mock and you don't review it, then it's useless. So one of the big mistakes that I've seen a lot of people who come to me for mentoring commit is that, they don't review their mocks. So if you're giving a mock and you don't go through the video solutions and you don't practice, it'll not help you at all. And a lot of people, do not give mocks because they feel that they've not covered enough syllabus. Again, a huge mistake. Give the mock, even if you've covered 20% of the syllabus and try to do well in that 20% and learn the rest of it through video solutions. It'll help you cover those sections faster.
Okay. Paritosh, how to review the mocks?
So I'll just give a two-pronged answer to this. First one is, I would say start your preparation with 1 or 2 mocks. Like before you start like picking up the concepts or syllabus, give 1 or 2 mocks or probably the CAT paper from last year. So that helps you understand what sort of questions are asked. And then it helps you to analyze what your strengths and weaknesses are, what are the areas that you are lacking.
Correct.
And then once you have done with a few concepts and then you're starting giving mocks regularly, one thing is you need to analyze is what sort of mistakes you're doing regularly. So a typical sort of mistakes are, particularly in VRC section, is we don't read the questions completely. Like psychologically, we are not trained to like read each and every word. We'll just pick 5-6 words out of a sentence and try to make sense out of the entire sentence. So that's where we get wrong. Particularly in VRC, calculation speed or how you calculate numbers gets you into a mess sometimes, or selecting the wrong sets. So apart from the quantitative analysis part, like this is the concept that I don't know, or this is the concept I'm routinely doing, you need to understand how you are performing or what sort of mentality you are taking into a mock. Whether you are sticking it with the same question for too long, or you're not able to interpret the question correctly, or you are entirely missing out on what is being asked in the question. So these are a few pointers that one should be regularly looking at when analyzing their mocks.
Okay. Yeah. Also, all of you are retakers, CAT retakers? Or is there anybody, who just took it once and then, because, how do they schedule their preparation from July till end? Because Satya told us about the one advantage that you have when you are retaking it, right?
Yeah.
Ashish. Okay.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah. Ashish, you can say, and then Rishika, you can add, please.
Yeah, so I think the first takers, I think the only difference that I did, being an engineer, my quants were really good. And this is not an engineering thing, but it's just that quants and then this data interpretation were like not a big problem for me. And what I struggled a lot with was verbal really did not understand sentence correction. It used to be a big thing that time, sentence correction. I don't know if it's now jumbled sentences, all of that. So my prep was doing GMATs, English. They have really good structured rules. English doesn't change between exams. It's the same rules that come through. If you do have the time, and if verbal is really an issue for you, try taking, reading through or going through the GMAT rules. That maybe a week worth of effort is going to, help you schedule for the next 4 months. Because, and as everybody has said, like do mocks, figure out your mistakes. Verbal, think of GMAT once. I mean, that's going to push your serious attempt.
Okay. Yeah, Rishika.
Yeah, so I think I'm the only engineer here who was not really great at DILR. VARC was my strongest section. So I did not, study anything for VARC throughout the year. And I knew that I wanted to take CAT in 2020. So in 2019, without any prep, I wanted to give the paper and see where I stood. So it was my second attempt in 2020. But at least I had a, view of what the paper looked like. And I think that's where Paritosh, pointed out that you start with a few mocks. So I started with the CAT paper directly. And I think it's, even if you've not given any, previous attempts, it's fine if you start your prep in July. If you have a structure, if you're taking enough mocks, you should be able to make it.
Okay. So Ashish took the CAT when it was 3 hours, and Shailendra and Satya, you guys took it when it was 2 hours. And even Rishika, I guess. Yeah, you guys too. Yeah. So
it changed now. I didn't know that.
So in that 2 hours, how much of VARC is different? As in, are you still getting similar kind of questions, like those similar jumbles and all that, whatever Ashish was talking about?
Yes. The pattern is same, but the number of questions just change.
Correct.
That's
I guess more of an adjustment for the COVID times, where they wanted few people at the center. So rather than 2 slots, they made it into 3 slots.
Correct. Okay. All right. Okay.
And just one more thing before we go ahead. So this is sort of a trick that worked for me during my CAT prep. What we usually do is we don't focus on our like undergrad training a lot when going for CAT. So particularly what helped me in VRC, because like being a CA, my law is good. So in law, when you study law, your sentence structuring or the way you interpret is good. So I use those techniques, what I learned or what I had acquired inherently while studying, and that helped me VRC a lot. So like getting a gist out of a paragraph, or in parajumbles, that helps a lot because you are already trained to identify sentences in a very structured manner. So rather than just learning new concepts or what is being taught, that actually helps. But then focusing on what you have inherently acquired also gives you a great advantage in particular sections.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's a question about, yeah, Shailendra, there was a question that you were typing the answer for, as in, for a beginner in CAT, where should they begin, as in where to start? Yeah, you did answer, but it would be helpful for everybody to get the answer. Yeah, Shailendra.
So I think as is someone if it is a beginner, so and they have not been in touch with their quant side, especially the humanities students or the commerce students.
Okay.
So first thing I would like to tell them that it is not like it asks hardcore maths like differentiation or integration. It is basic 10th till 10th maths, which we have, which everyone is quite familiar with.
Okay.
So first aspect I would like to tell that take that fright out of your mind, and just, as I told before also, CAT doesn't ask you any fancy formulas. Even if it asks difficult questions, it is usually trying to combine 2 to 3 basic concepts and testing you on that. So covering the 10 to 15 basic concepts is a must.
Okay. All right. We'll continue taking CAT questions from the attendees in between the sections. So let's talk about now the personal interview. And we have a question as well regarding profile. So let's take that question first. I have 4 to 5 years of gap years owing to UPSC prep. What issues may I face, and for what things I need to be prepared for to be on equal footing compared to my peers in the whole journey? So yeah, Paritosh, can you answer this?
I was actually typing the answer to the same.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but since it will be good for everybody to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, there are a lot of people from similar backgrounds in like IMK and for that matter, other IIMs also. So people who have been preparing for civil services, or people who are earlier in ND or part of CDS, etc.
Correct.
So that honestly doesn't make a lot of difference. What key differentiating factor you have, all of you have right now, would be what you do in CAT. So try getting as much high score as you can in CAT, and there is not a lot of things that you can change in terms of profile from here to CAT. So a good CAT percentile should be the primary target as of now, and rest, it is not something that would be biasing factor, or you won't be discriminated based on your backgrounds as such. So all of the IIMs and IMK particularly has a huge factor where it considers the academic diversity, the kind of work you bring in, the other experiences you bring in on the table. So it's encouraged that there are people from diverse backgrounds. So first CAT score would be the only deciding factor right now, which is what you can change.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Ashish.
Just to add to that, like one of my best friends actually went through that journey, 2 years of UPSC, and then decided to do CAT. The only thing, like, while everything is beautiful, but the one thing that you need to consider is getting into an IIM is one part of the journey. You need to get out of IIM also, and there's a lot of placement and all of these things which will happen. I know we'll talk about it. So as long as you're able to show that even though you studied for UPSC, you're able to add value. That's what later on companies are going to look for. It's not about if you're going to portray it as 2 years I spent, I did just studies, did nothing else, it might be a dicey equation. So it's just think about 2 steps ahead. Think about your placements. Think about life after IIM as you decide, whether this is the right route for you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Ashish. Yeah. Okay. Let's now talk about the personal interview, the kind of profile that gets these people, everybody in IMK, like the kind of profile they prefer, and if there is any such thing like that.
There
And
is
Ashish, yeah, let's hold on. Let me complete the question. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the personal interview experience. So maybe we can start from Shailendra, then Rishika, then Satya, and Paritosh and Ashish. You guys can pitch in. Okay, Shailendra and Rishika. Okay, I want to know if someone's CAT score was not the best, like not 99 or 100 percentile, how can they turn it for their advantage in a personal interview? So can you talk about your personal interview experience? Shailendra, you can go first, then Rishika. Yeah.
Yeah, so my interview started with a couple of computer science questions because I was my experience was in IT.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, I was not able to answer one question out of that. And then the talk turned towards the politics. Then the panelist asked me about Kerala politics, about whether do I know about CPI, CPA.
Okay.
Then it went to the US war, the Cold War aspects. Then again, the other panelists asked a couple of engineering-related questions as well. And after that, it was mainly, I would say, it was heavily politics-oriented. So a couple of questions on Indian politics were also there. Indian history was also there. Frankly, you can't really predict what will. Yeah, you can drive an interview in a certain extent, but you can't really predict because my IIM Rotek interview was entirely engineering based, while in IMK there were only a couple of questions from my engineering.
Okay. And your work experience, not much questions from there.
Yeah, initially 3-4 questions were on my work experience.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Rishika.
I think for me, the CAT percentile being not 99 did not really matter because I had calls from Bangalore and Lucknow as well for the PGP program, and they knew that. So they told me that, your work ex is good. Why did you leave ZS? And why do you want to do this right now? ZS has an ISB program going on. So it was more towards why I wanted to do an MBA and what is pushing me towards IMK and why would I choose it over L or B. And I told them very candidly that I would not for Bangalore. Maybe L I would not prefer, but definitely.
I'll come back to you on that versus the question about IMK versus
Yeah, so they did not ask me about my percentile per se because they have that data and do not lie to them about the calls that you have. That is a major mistake that a lot of people do make.
Okay.
But other than that, it was just about YK. What do you want to do with your life? Why are you pursuing MBA at this point in your life? So if you have that clarity, and how you can add to the batch when you get there, what your contribution to the cohort can be, that actually helps you, cover up for that 1 percentile that you don't have.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. But so you are saying that, one should actually talk about like, okay, I've got a call from this place and that place and all that. And then they might ask you that tricky question, right? So then what do you do if you...
They do the calls that you have, especially in IIMs. They might not know that you have, SPGen or MDI or
correct.
So, but for IIMs, they have that list. And, my GDPI prep was that, don't lie to them. So even if you want to avoid, you say that, yeah, I do have other calls. But so they directly asked me that you have calls. What calls do you have? And I had to say that, I do have other calls. They asked me specifically which calls do you have. So I told them that I have Bangalore and Lucknow, also other IIMs. So they said, okay, if you got a Bangalore, acceptance right now versus you got an IMK acceptance right now, where would you go? So I said that, okay, if it was Bangalore, then probably Bangalore, because I want to get into product management and Bangalore has a great placement, record there. So, but definitely not Lucknow because that's not where, the strength lies. So they were very happy with that. They said that, I love your candor, and that was something they appreciated.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, Satya.
Just to start off with, same thing as Rishika. Like I had calls from all the IIMs except I guess Bangalore was the only IIM that didn't give me a call. So same thing, every IIM you go, there is I think except Ahmedabad, every IIM asks like which all calls you have and which one will you prefer. So it's a very generic question, and especially if your percentiles are high, it's a very generic question. And I would also answer the same, like never lie. If you're once you lie, then you cannot come back from that situation. So never lie in those situations. And apart from that, my K call, it was mostly based out of related to my engineering degree, which was related to electrical. So it was mostly related to EVs and all. But on an overview basis, if I'll tell around all the calls I had, so it goes from a India-Pakistan match to a Ranji match to a Rasgulla fight between Odisha and West Bengal to it can just get anything abstract, just anything that comes to their mouth, they can ask you. So you have to be just prepared from your state to the college you are trying to give that interview for, to your work ex, to your bachelor's, to just anything generic that is happening in the world. So things can be very abstract in an interview, and sometimes they just want to test you out, like how you are taking that situation, how you are handling that situation. It's not about if you're giving the correct answer, but how you are doing in that pressure situation. So sometimes the pressure tests are also being done in IIM.
So the Rasgulla question was because you said that you are from Orissa, was it?
Yes. So it was asked in a Calcutta interview, and I told that Rasgulla is from Odisha. So they told me that like you have that biasness, and how do you define that? So then I gave the example of Jagannath and all of it. So they were impressed by that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Paritosh. Then Ashish. Yeah.
So apart from what others have mentioned, I'll just give a couple of pointers here. So one thing honestly that helps in any interview, be it CAT or later on interviews you'll have with other companies, there are two things you need to be very clear about. One is integrity and another is humility. So if any interview have high level of integrity and high level of humility, you can just sail through interviews.
Okay.
So I'll just give an example. So in one of the IIM interviews, they asked me a lot of questions from maths. And that was something I was definitely not good at, because it has been like almost 6 years that I had studied maths. And those were not like basic questions, but they showed me few graphs and then asked me how you take a derivative or like second order derivative and all. I said, so I was being very honest that I don't know. And then I humbly said, sir, it's been long that I studied maths. That's not something which is my forte. I am from finance and strategy background. So that's my area where I'm good at. So then the entire interview switched to finance and strategy questions. So then they're starting me asking about what sort of things you will do. They gave me a few financial statements and randomly asked that these are sort of companies, then what sort of decisions you would take based on what has been their past history regarding like financials and all. And that's how I managed to clear that interview. And particularly in IMK, the interview was little tricky. So they asked me a question from finance, and because I guess like later on I came to know that the professor was also from finance. So after one answer, he was like, so you are a CA, I know you are good at finance. Let's not talk about it. And then the interview went into philosophy and psychology sort of a thing. So it was neither factual or based on any facts, but they just asked that this is the sort of transaction that a company is doing. Don't tell me it's financially or legally valid. Tell me as a person whether your like inner conscience allows you to do this sort of a transaction. What is the psychology or the consumer mindset behind those transactions and all? So there is no right and wrong answer. Try to be honest what comes in your mind and try to be humble. So if you try to portray a lot that you are say master of all the areas, or you try to overcast other candidates or overshadow them, then I guess it gives a sort of negative vibe. Try to be humble and show what your strengths are and what you're not good at also, because you're going for a learning experience. You're not expected to know everything.
Correct. Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks, Paritosh. Ashish, yes, your experience, if you remember, and also your tips, as in, since now we know that all of them have had different questions. So, I mean, how do you even prepare for a personal interview then? Then there is no, except for those current affairs, and you keep reading them, and you might not be even asked those questions. You might be asked something else altogether. So, how do you even prepare for it? Yeah, any tips? Yeah, Ashish.
I think this will sound like a consulting answer, but that's the background I come from.
Yeah.
I think this it's all about what, why, and how. So what is the entire issue about? What are you thinking? Like, I mean, what are you reading about? So the question what is it all about? So any topic that you start, understand the what behind it. Second part is why. Why did it come up? why is it happening right now? If it's like a current issue which has just certain, why is this the time that it has come up? And then finally, how part of it, which is like, how is it being addressed? So these three things, inculcate these, because tomorrow, if you really want to crack into consulting, if this is where, or a lot of these related jobs which you have, I think these are the similar mindset that you need to keep in building up, and that's what even companies are looking for. So for any current affair topic that you pick up, just go through, run with these. You'll have your own matrix tomorrow, like the way I have it, but follow these 2-3 steps, and I think you'll have a really good grasp of the concept. The only other thing to add, and when I did this, we didn't have any other IIM questions or anything, because it was all not digital at that time, so it was old. So there were not so many probing questions. But I think the one thing that Paritosh mentioned, I think really loved it, that it's okay. There's no shame in saying that you do not know, and just say no when you don't know. Don't make a cockable story around it. If you don't know, you don't know. If you know, just make sure you show the best handout. I think that's a couple of things that I would like you guys to follow.
So just to add one last point to what Ashish said, like in my opinion, when you're preparing for an interview, any interview, be IIM or any just any interview, you try to control the controllables, right? You should, if I am being an electrical engineer, if I don't know Ohm's law, then that has a very negative vibe on the interviewer, right?
Correct.
But if he asks me something, what's going on in Pluto, and I don't know that, he also knows that that is humanly not possible to just know everything that is going around.
Correct.
So interviewers are logical. They know what someone can have and what someone can't have. So you just need to be honest, and you just need to know what all things you should be aware of, the bare minimum at least. So
Rishika.
One thing I'm seeing in the questions is, how to be more confident in PI interviews. One thing is be genuine, as everyone else has mentioned. Don't try to portray yourself as something that you're not. If you tell them that you do read newspapers, and if the headline, or maybe on the second page, there was a headline that they asked you about, and interviewers do read the Hindu. So if you're going to go ahead and tell them that, you've read the Hindu and you don't know what the Hindu said today, it's going to be a train wreck, trust me, because it happened to a friend of mine. He told the interviewers in Bangalore that he reads the Hindu on a daily basis, and they asked him something related to some refinery, and he did not know what that was. And he said, you clearly do just say that to impress us.
So I have a very funny incident related to what Rishika said. So in my Lucknow interview, it was asked, like, tell me some two weaknesses about yourself. So I just said, like, I'm sincere, so sometimes I tend to take things very sincerely, and I tend to overwork and all of that shit. So the interviewer, he knew that it was a prepared answer, right? They just know when someone is giving a prepared answer. So he clearly said that in my face, that this is your prepared answer. Now tell me genuinely what are your weaknesses. And then I said, ki sometimes whenever there is a situation where I lose my cool and I sometimes am not able to handle myself emotionally or something. So actually those things are an interviewer can genuinely see, and they can just see through you. So you have to be genuine at any cost.
But something like that, like your answer, could also backfire, right? For a selection, because
yes, it can, but that you generally don't have a say in that, because if you are genuine, that gives you the best shot. But if, for example, the interviewer knows that is some quality we don't want in our campus at least, then it might backfire. Yes, obviously.
Correct. Okay. Let's talk about academics now, and we'll continue taking questions in between. In academics now, let's talk about why IIM Kozhikode has risen up on the rankings, as we all know. So how exactly, like, a lot of people, they would say it's because of the academics, because of the rigor that they have, or because of all the clubs and committees and the wholesome atmosphere that is there at IIM Kozhikode. Of course, the climate and the campus itself is, and we'll look at some photos too. But so what is it about the academics bit that makes it stand apart from the other IIMs? who all can, okay, everybody can pitch in. I will first ask the question to Rishika and Satya, and please Shailendra, Paritosh and Ashish, please pitch in. Yes, Rishika.
I'll start with academics. I want to clarify that, PGP is not the only program. We do have LSM and finance, which was a very big thing for us, getting into the NIRF rankings top 3, because IMK has always been a driver for diversity, and IMK has been the leader in this. So we have I think we have 48% women in this batch. So the current incoming batch. And that says a lot about, what IMK stands for, globalizing Indian thought. They want to make sure that everyone has an equal footing. And it's not like they're going out of their way to maintain this diversity ratio, because our batch did not have that. I'm just saying that, there are a lot of things. LSM has a very good ratio of women. And the kind of curriculum that we have, it is very hands-on when it gets to electives, because we have the capstone project. We have a portfolio management course where people actually manage a portfolio, which goes up and down with the real markets. We have courses which, get people from the industry, and people come in and
these are electives that you're talking about, like the portfolio management, and also somebody is actually selecting. And is it when do you select the electives? Is it in the second year or in the first year itself?
At the end of the first year. So
at the end of the first year. Okay.
After your internship.
Rishika, you can continue, and then Satya, please.
Right. So for one course, we actually had the VP of communications from Geo come and take us through a course. So that was very interesting. And the academic rigor is definitely there. But if you're disciplined enough, you have a lot of events going on at campus, and it's never a dull moment. So time management is definitely something you learn when you go to IMK. I think Satya can take.
Yeah, Satya.
So one thing I will add is that the faculties at IMK, they are just exceptionally good. Some are like, I can say that there was one subject we had in our first year called corporate valuation, and coming from an engineering sector, I don't have any like dur correlation with regard to finance and all. Okay, so what happened is that in midterms, I got very less marks. I will be very genuine. And but the thing is that when the faculty is good, he doesn't just teaches you for marks, and he doesn't just teaches the subject. He teaches the things that are around you, and that's what helped me in the end, I'll say. And when you learn the subject by heart, you know how to apply that. And that's something I've learned from a few faculties in IIM Kozhikode. Those are exceptionally good. And as Rishika mentioned, they sometimes get in, like there is a course, innovation and design thinking, and they got a vice president from a company to show how design thinking can be inculcated in multiple facets of a industry. So that helps when you know a person who is coming from so many years of experience and coming and giving you the talk that actually helps you get an industry overview of those subjects. Like, the subject is like this, but you don't know how to apply it, and those persons actually lead you in that path. So that's a very exceptional thing I found about that.
Okay, Shailendra, can you talk about the clubs and committees? Do you need to be a part of a club or committee, or is it okay if you opt out? And how many are there? You don't have to name all of them, but how many are there in total? And I mean, you all can talk about your clubs and committees that you are part of. Shailendra.
Yeah, so it is not compulsory, but if you want to add more value to the institute other than the academics, I would really ask, it would be better if you be a part of a committee. Second thing is, if you want to go for foreign exchange, then you have to resign. So if you have plans like that, so you can't be part of any committee or interest group. I guess there are multiple committees. So consulting related to consulting, marketing, finance as well. So there are interest groups also. So you have depending on your preferences, depending on your interest, IMK covers that aspect.
Okay, so if you are opting for student exchange program, you cannot be part of any clubs or committees at that time.
Yeah.
I had to resign when I did the
Okay.
So it's for the 1 year you spent. in the committee in the second year, you need to resign so that you can go for the exchange.
Okay. And for the student exchange program, Satya, you were saying something?
No, I was just saying what Ashish said. You have to resign. I mean, you can spend that 1 year, but that will not be reflected in your CVs. You cannot mention that anywhere. So that's the only catch.
Oh, okay.
You can mention it, but it comes under extracurricular activities, not as a POR.
Okay.
And as for how many you can join one club, one committee, and one IG. Not more than that. Other than that, you can join other, things that are going on. There is a share chapter that you can join. There's Bhooklagi. There are other things that go on. So you can definitely join those as well.
Okay. Yeah. Who's saying something? Satya, are you saying something? Okay. Ashish, tell me something as far as the club for foreign exchange program. How does it work? Is it like you select everything and you fill up the form and you do the whole thing and you might get selected or bidding? How exactly is it? As in, is it a very simple process or is it like a very stressful process that whether you get that particular international B school or not? Yeah.
So back in my year, I think it's common for you guys also, but it was like an IPL bidding system.
Okay.
So our CGPA became the chips that you have, and then essentially you start bidding for different colleges which are in the list. I mean, at my time, I think usually like 1/3 or 40% of the batch used to go for this. We had like tie-ups with roughly like 70, 80 institutes like all across Europe, and I think we had a couple of Asian ones also.
Okay.
So we had to bet across. Obviously, the more your CGPA, the higher like likely that your choices or schools get picked up, but then you keep doing the rounds till you get what you want.
Okay.
So that's the bidding process. Helps you think about all this right off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Paritosh, you were part of any clubs or committees? Which one?
No, so I was like not part of clubs and committees. So actually there are a lot of case competitions that go around in B school. And like they mentioned, like Forex. So I was initially planning to go for Forex. So I didn't join a club or committee, but then I participated all around like a lot of case comms. So maybe I would have like 30, 40 case comms across the year. So that takes up a lot of your time.
Okay. And these case competitions help a lot, is it, on your profile and all that, right?
So means honestly, it was not just for profile or like that was one of my least consideration when I was in college, but that helps you to get along with a lot of different sort of problems that the actual industry is facing, because the case comms are as such the problem that the company is facing. So we did a case comm for one of the banks where we pitched in an idea how to increase the credit card penetration. Then we did a few case comms where we launched, particularly help the company to launch a new business into an area where they have no presence or penetrate more into the market that they are already doing. Right. So that is more like more of a challenging situations that you faced and helps you to apply what you are studying in the academic side of it to the practical side.
I remember Ashish answered this at one point when I attended this last year. He said that you can make a lot of money from these case competitions.
Yes, I remember now. Yes, Ashish.
Yes, money is a big factor for me.
Honestly.
Ashish was like the person who was telling us that you can do case competitions.
Yes.
I funded my entire
thanks. Thanks, Rishika. Now I remember. Ashish had talked about it, and a lot of attendees were asking, "Oh, how does that work now?"
I funded my entire Euro trip on those competitions. You earn a lot.
So you would say that once these CAD aspirants get into IMK, then you would definitely recommend them to go for case competitions, and then probably
No, there's no question about it. Like those 2 years, you need to do all. It doesn't matter whether you win. It matters that you participate, because you're gonna, like as Paritosh said, those are real cases. You learn a lot learn a lot of it. Money is a
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, Shailendra and Satya, you guys have gone through your you've completed your internships already, right?
Actually, we should be talking about it.
So you guys can talk. Yeah, you guys can talk about internships, but then Rishika, you have to take over from the placement bit. As in,
so internships, I can say it's a bit not a bit, it's a very hectic process that goes on because the internships get completed in 5 to 6 days at max. So all the companies come over that period. Some come like a few days before that, but that's a hand counted number. Then you, according to your profile, you just apply for that company. For example, American Express comes and you just apply, give out a CV for that profile. And if they find it eligible for their company, they just give you a shortlist. So that's how it works. And every company goes on providing like that. So before the companies arrive at the campus, these all processes are generally over, and some companies come during the internship period also as well. So you get the shortlists, you know which companies you are going to sit. And once you convert any one of them, so and you just get signed out from the process. So that's how it works. And that those are a bit tricky. Like like some people I've seen who just apply for the companies which they actually want to go, and some just go on because there is so much pressure. You just see people running around, you just see people getting placed, and that's why some people just go on applying anything and that just comes. So it's a bit tricky process, a lot hectic, I will say, because people, it starts from 4 in the morning and goes on till like late night. So it can go a bit like hectic for people. But again, it's just a time of like 5 to 7 days. But the preparation, that takes time. That takes just you enter to the college in July, like the fresher batch, June or July, that period. And the internships start around September last, October first week. So that period. So you just get 3 to 4 months to prepare your CV so that period is a bit hectic for the fresh joiners.
Okay. The next question is for Rishika and Paritosh. So what if, you get a internship and obviously, you don't have too much of a choice to get what you are getting. But what if you don't, if you get a PPO out of it and you don't want to go for it? So can you sit for the placements, or you have to go through the PPO?
You have to go through with the PPO. Otherwise, you can't reject a PPO in K. That is there.
Okay. And the next question is, what if your internship was not great? And does that have an impact on your final placements then? But
not really, because the companies do know that you did not get the PPO. If you can talk about your experience during your internship and you can tell them that, this is what I did, this is the value that I added, they don't really care that you did not get the PPO. Obviously, you're sitting there because you don't have PPO. The only thing, like, Satya mentioned, a lot of people do get under a lot of pressure because, half the batch has PPOs, right? They're just roaming around, enjoying themselves, having a jolly time. And in 5th semester, you're just sitting down, trying to prepare. And it's quite a hectic process, So I would suggest take help from your peers. People who have PPOs are ready to help you out if you're, asking them for help. They won't come to you because it feels like, they're trying to be, maybe I should help you. You don't want that sympathy. You need to reach out to people and say that, hey, you have time, I need your help, and go out of your way to ask them for help. They will help you out. So the process can be very draining, and it's the same thing with CAT, right? If you've gone through a section which did not go well, you need to make sure that the next section that you're attempting with a fresh mind. Same thing happens with an interview. I sat down for Microsoft, which went on for 5 hours. I went through 4 rounds. In the 5th round, they asked me one question: if I have a certification in cloud. I said no, and that was it. So I did not get the job, and it was just very jarring because the next interview was right around the corner, and I had to sit again for another interview. So I can't take that to my next interview. It is hectic, but it is more hectic for people who go for international exchange. You do sit for placements, and it's completely online. Thankfully, COVID has helped you, attempt placements from abroad as well, because I think initially there was this rule, I'm not sure Ashish can tell us about this, maybe, that if you go for Forex, you cannot sit for finals. Yeah, that has changed now, but there is still a lot of stress, and I think Paritosh can add.
Yes, Paritosh.
So honestly, my placement journey has been honestly a lot different from the entire batch. So I was very clear about the sort of companies I wanted. So it might come odd, but being a CA, I didn't want to get into finance or consulting. So I was the only one who was sitting out of entire placement process. I had applied only for 3 companies. The first shortlist I got, I converted that. So I just wanted Genman role. So maybe So like interview, the scheduling happens every year based on.
So was this Regrow one? Was this the one?
Yeah, it's the same company I'm working right now.
Okay.
So for me, I was very clear about the sort of roles I wanted. So your past work actually helps you a bit regarding the sort of career you want to move in. So you prep accordingly for the interviews because every domain has their own sort of questions that they would be asking and all. So if you have an absolute clarity regarding the domains you want to go, the placement process becomes slightly easier. I won't say it's not hectic for anyone, but it gets slightly easier because it's easier to navigate and you're not applying to a lot of companies. So I guess I would have given like maybe 1 or 2 interviews apart from this based on how the rounds were scheduled. But then this was the first shortlist I had, and then I luckily got into one.
Okay, but Paritosh, tell me, what about your internship? In that also, you kind of stayed away from finance and
so internship is a different process. I went into consulting during my internship. So I interned with PwC into the consulting practice.
Okay.
But then later on I got, because like that time there's different scenarios about the PPOs and PPI with entire consulting industry. So I had luckily an option to switch during the finals.
Okay. All right.
I'll add to
I'll
add one more point. Like Paritosh and Satya both said that you don't need to get swept away. That everyone is applying for consulting, so I want to get in here. You have your shortlisted companies. You should know where you want to go. Because like Paritosh said, even I gave like 3 interviews. That was it. Okay. But for those 3 interviews, at least I knew that I was very well prepared. I knew which companies I was applying for, what roles, and I talked to alums. So, alumni network is something that you should be leveraging. You should be talking to people who have been working in these roles, and you need to know what kind of work you'll be doing. That'll help you get a clarity when you're sitting in the interview and they ask you, okay, why do you want to join our company? It should not be a generic answer. Don't go with it, this is a very great company and I know that I'll add value and they can help me with my career. That is a very generic answer that everyone will give. Talk to a person who has worked there and use their experience to build upon. Say that the kind of opportunities that we are seeing in this particular area is where I want to work, and I believe that this particular company will give me an opportunity to do that. So I think that helps you tailor your answer better.
Okay, Ashish, can you talk about your experience, placement experience? And you went for consulting, so so I guess maximum people anyway prefer consulting, isn't it?
So I have a very funny story there, but the thing is, when I joined IIM, I was from a consulting background, yes, right? I really didn't want to go back in consulting. Let's be honest. I wanted to do marketing, but then they said I had like 3 years of work experience, and do not believe if anybody says that you can't get marketing. But I was like, okay, my seniors said you can't get marketing. Okay. So I was like, okay, fine. And I went to the Goldman Sachs interview. That's the placement process. And the thing is, a lot of these consulting and finance companies usually have lunch and interaction. So here I am eating a pizza, talking to a Goldman Sachs executive. Then summer internship. 2 of my senior place commerce come in. He's like, bahar aa karke. I'm like, okay, pizza leke gaya. And then I was like literally carried by 4 place commerce to the to Deloitte's the consulting interviews on the very other side of the campus. They took my pizza box, gave me my own CV. I was like, okay, thank you. And then she pushed me into the room. I had to do 2 rounds. I got a spot offer from Deloitte, like in the second round itself, because again, there's a lot of background which matters being cultivated in the consulting. So it was the way the journey went. So when I came outside, I got an empty pizza box and I was told to go away. I mean, you're done, you're signed out, please, that's it, you're out of the process. And literally when I came back, I got all the marketing shortlists which were there, like the day 1 marketing, I saw everything, HUL, PNG, and I was like, okay, I'm done, I'm signing out for life. The only thing which I think everybody has added to it, but it's stressful, agreed. But I think that's the time when you will see batch coming out in your, support. Like I have slept at 2 a.m., on the ground, waiting for a friend's interview to get over, then rushing in, printing another set of CVs to push another person at 4 a.m. 7 days, nobody goes back to hostel. The only time you've gone, like after 2 days, you're stinking, please go back and come. And 15 minutes, they're not eating food. Everybody's going to be there. And it doesn't matter whether you're placed on the day, like I was placed on day -1, I was there till day 7. So, and all of people on the call will agree to the fact that this is how it is.
Correct. Yeah.
So we get through. Everybody's going to get placed.
Yeah.
We get through.
Yeah, Rishika, finally, how did your this particular your KPMG happened?
So
Yeah.
initially in my internship, I got extract, and my interview was very chill because I was coming from ZS. So I think, ZSs do have that advantage where they know that, okay, you have worked to the bone, and you know that, working hours are 12 hours at least. So they know that at least you know what kind of work profile you're looking at, because that is the first thing that the person asks you. You have a buddy that is mapped to you. They talk to you and they ask you why you want to go into consulting, because it's a very hectic work hour, and it's not meant for everyone. So I told them that I'm coming from ZS, and she was like, okay, fine, I don't want to know anything else. And during the final day, people had 4 or 5 interviews. Mine was directly the MD HR interview. He asked me to introduce myself, what advice I would have for Pfizer, and he's like, all right, you've been signed out, congratulations. So I thought in my internship that, okay, placements wise, everyone, saying that very hard, in a cakewalk. Then I went to finals, and like I said, I only applied for 3 or 4 companies. Though one was Microsoft, and the other was KPMG. The reason I applied to KPMG was Extract was back-end consulting. And it is only one industry. They don't let you switch industries, which was a very big no for me, because I had come from pharma, and going back into pharma was not something I was looking at. Like Ashish said, consulting, same thing again. I didn't want that. At least if I've done an MBA with a general management degree, I want to be able to explore different industries. So KPMG was providing, an opportunity for front-end consulting with I think 6-month stint in different industries for the first 2 years, which is what most consultants do. So Microsoft was, I prepared for that, and I did not get through because I did not have a cloud certification.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Finally, KPMG also, I think they had this ZS and Accenture thing. So all they asked me was, why would you not go back to Accenture or, ZS? And I told them that I'm not looking for health and life sciences right now. I want to branch out. And they said, okay, we'll take you in front-end consulting. You interact with clients across marketing domains. And I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting enough to me. So it was a very short interview. So they do have hot lists. And if you're on the hot list, the process does get significantly easier for you, because they already know that they want you. But even if you're not on the hot list, and if you can tell them that, this is where I'm coming from, and you have a very clear vision of what you want to do in your career, I think that definitely helps them also. But consulting prep, obviously, you cannot just go into an interview without consulting prep. You need to make sure that for the last month, at least, this is like at least, for the last month, you've been doing consulting prep with a lot of people, try different groups, make sure that you get one where you're getting different perspectives, because if you solve a case study with the same perspective from 3 people, it'll not help you. Make sure that you're getting different perspectives. So I had one finance guy, I had one operations guy, and the 3 of us used to sit together. And that's why, it feels very easy when you're actually in the process. And if you can tie in something that you've learned during your courses, that helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, we just have a little bit of time before the session ends. So yeah, let's look at some photos. Kozhikode, of course, is known for its beautiful campus and its architecture. Yeah.
So this is first year ACAD block.
Okay.
This is also the ACAD block. This is from the library building that I have taken. This is obviously the Arjuna Path, the famous.
Yes, yeah.
This is besides the lake. So we have a lake just as we enter the campus. We have a lake on the right-hand side. So this is from the Backwaters event, the flagship event that management festival that IMK has.
Okay.
This is the second year dorm. Actually, I wasn't able to find the first year, so this is the second year hostel.
Okay.
And finally, these are some of the competition photos that I have taken. So as you have mentioned earlier as well, that IMK supports startups and Bhooklagi.
Yes, Bhooklagi. Yeah. Are you member? Anybody part of Bhooklagi?
I'm a partner at Bhooklagi.
Oh, wonderful. I'll ask you that one last question then.
Yeah. So students, so they get an opportunity to set up stalls, their own food stalls, their own different kind of stalls, and make money out of that. So basically it's running a live counter in most of the competitions.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. Okay, next.
This is the view from my college room. So the second year dorms that Shailendra was showing, so it is the second year hostels. And so once you get into a B school, be it like placements or anything, you would be mostly awake till the sunrise.
Right.
So that you would get a lot of times.
Nice. Yeah. Very de-stressing.
Yeah, and honestly, this is like the fresh air. You would like it would be drizzling till like December, Jan. So like 7-8 months you would have rainfall, which makes the campus more pretty. So there are usually clouds around the entire hostel during night time.
Okay.
And then these are few photos from events. So this is one of the traditional Onam festival where we had won the tug of war.
Yeah.
And then this is from the convocation.
Nice. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah.
All right. So this is the view from my...
Everybody has this one view, isn't it?
I was actually at the top of the hill. So my room was on the top floor and I used to get this view every morning.
Wow.
And it's worth waking up to. This is, from the second year hostels. And there's no editing in this photo, just FYI.
Yeah, but it's very pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is from the first year classrooms actually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Vishika, can you talk? Actually, I was going to ask you this during the academic section about Bhooklagi. Yeah. So, can you talk a little bit about, so it's a startup, right? So,
Right.
IIM Kozhikode, I believe, have got many such projects like this, as in startup projects, or?
So IMK has an incubator, and you can, but Bhooklagi did not go through the incubator.
Okay.
It just started, as a means for people to get food, which was really far off because, your campus is situated really far away from the city. And especially during COVID, it was quite hard for people to get food from outside.
Correct.
So that's why, Bhooklagi stepped in. They made sure that, famous joints like Bikash Babu, where people could not go during that time, we could get that on campus. So we get food which is not listed on, Zomato or Swiggy and other vendors.
Wow.
And we make sure that, the tie-up helps get us discounts as well, which we directly pass on to the students. So it's just so that, people get a sense of entrepreneurship and they can understand how to start a business, how to run it. And especially if you don't speak, the local language, it's very hard for you to talk to vendors. So learning that is very interesting. And we do have other things which are not, directly PORs, but it's very good to have on your CV. I'm a part of Women in Management, where, you talk to different women in the industry, you invite them for talks. And it's a great networking event for everyone. We also have Share. The Share chapter for IMK is very active. You have an international batch where you talk to people from, universities across the world, from France, from Nigeria. And you do a project where you propose a startup. So if yours gets selected, then it goes on for, people from Bain BCG actually come and evaluate that. So IMK does have a good startup culture. We have the IIC, we have entrepreneurship cell, eCell. So there are a lot of good opportunities there.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. Shailendra, so yeah, we are about to wrap up. I just have a few questions for all of you, like one question each. So Shailendra, why IIM Kozhikode?
Actually,
if a CAT aspirant asks you, okay, kya karu? Yeah. So then, what would you say?
The routine answer would be, if you don't have ABC, then after that IMK becomes the obviously the obvious choice. But as throughout the session that we have considered the clubs, the committees, the electives as well, considering the overall campus life. So one aspect I would like to say, I had FMS call as well.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I chose IMK over FMS. So considering the campus life and the kind of students IMK has, so we have IITs and IT bids from SRCCs as well. So the whole conducive environment for your progress.
Okay, great. Yeah, Satya, how would you tell someone if they're taking CAT for the first time, what's the preparation? What is it that they should be focusing on right now? Yeah.
So right now it's like almost first week of July. So you'll have hardly how much, like hardly 3 to 4 months.
4 months,
Like
yeah.
September, yeah. If I consider November, then 4 months, yeah. So I mean, 4 months, I will say it's still a very long time if we are doing for exam such as CAT. So it's all about your strategy. It's all CAT is, I don't think CAT is a very difficult exam as such. It's more like the people who strategize better. That's the difference between a 95, 94 percentile and a 99 percentile. So that's what makes you stand out. So you need to know where are your strengths, where are your weaknesses. Try to find that out in 1 or 2 months. Then you try to give as many mocks as possible. That's the best way around. Like mocks, there is no alternative to mocks. So give 2-3 mocks every week, I will suggest, when you go nearer to October, November.
Right.
And maybe when you are just 2 weeks away, try to give as many as you can. I was giving like almost 5 mocks a week. So and as people have mentioned earlier, you need to analyze them as well. It's not just giving, you need to analyze them as well. So that should be your strategy, and you should know like where are your strengths, and you should have some things like in arithmetics. I had my own formulas, I had my own ways of doing things. So if you can figure that out, it will be always beneficial for you.
Okay. Paritosh, how do you stay focused, as in right from your CAT prep, as in if you have a weak section, or if you're working, how do you schedule your CAT prep?
Like I started preparing when I was working, and honestly, like one thing that helped me focus was because my office hours were very hectic. So honestly, I used to get a very less time to study. So I had no other option but to sit down and focus. So because I worked in finance, and also there would be times that I went to office at 10 a.m. and that I would come home at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. So that used to be like most of my working month. Like I used to get like maybe 10 or 12 days initially in the initial months to study during the entire month. Like I had
did you leave your job, or did you take a break in the last few months at least, when you started taking mocks? And how many mocks did you take?
So mocks, towards the end, I gave full-fledged mocks. Like I used to sit down for the entire duration and give mocks. But before that, I used to take mocks in breaks. So like I would do one particular section, because every day I could not like sit down for the entire mock. So I used to take one particular section, but I used to do it in a timed manner. So like I would give only that much time that the actual exam gives me time. So if you have a lot of constraints, honestly, that helps you focus better, because you get a very limited amount of time and you have no other option but to sit down and study.
Okay.
But prioritizing also helps. Like as you mentioned, like weaker section and all. So prioritize, like don't be selective in terms of topics you want to cover, but prioritize the areas where you are weaker and where you want to put more focus. So that's a key to crack.
Okay. Yeah, Ashish, any suggestions for all the CAT aspirants from pre-MBA, post-MBA, and life after, like, a year or two of life after MBA? Yeah. How?
I get I'm bored now. This is like this Baba wala questions. Hoga kya ho zindagi mein aapke saath?
No, as in, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you've been there. Yeah, I mean, just.
No, I'm just joking. I think all that we spoke about pre-MBA, there are things that you've done. Just know what you have done, why you did what you did. Like, just go through that framework. It's going to not only help you during your IMK interview, but then there's a life after K, which is like, or during K, where you're doing placements and everything. It's going to help you there. Once you're out of K, and I think you guys are just experiencing it, you are branded for life, and it's people outside the K, I mean the IIM community, it's IIM. Outside, it's always going to be an IIM. So you're going to get branded for life. There's and as you talk to more people around, there's an immense respect for folks who are from IIM. You're going to be that 0.005% of the country, which you'll be told about every single day, no matter where you go. But yes, that is true. So even at the workplace, the opportunity, the door, a lot of things open for you. And depending on, I saw a lot of questions about what happens after. Like, I mean, there are pathways that open up. Road doesn't get easier, but there are a lot more pathways that open up once you're done with an IIM and a brand. to it.
Correct. Okay.
If nothing, you can just wear a cool T-shirt and roam around. हाँ, IIM करके वो flight में सब लोग देखते हैं अरे IIM से होगा.
Yeah. Yeah, Rishika, you want to add anything? I will wrap up. Yeah.
I think Ashish covered it pretty much because having that tag definitely helps.
Yeah.
But other than that, having a clear vision is what I've always believed in strongly. I've known where I wanted to be. I've always mapped out a 5-year plan whenever I ticked off a milestone. So if you know where you're going, it opens up a lot of things for you because you work towards that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's time to wrap up this session. And thank you all the attendees for all your questions. And thank you all the speakers. Thank you, Rishika Jain. Thank you, Paritosh Sabnis. Thank you, Ashish Thomas. Thank you, Shailendra Shinde. And thank you, Satya Swarup. Thank you so much for all the insights.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.